social media can be very, very difficult to deal with sometimes. And I know this both from personal experience. I deal with this myself. And I also see it a lot from some of the people that I follow. What I mean by social media can be a little bit difficult to deal with, I'm talking about the comments that sometimes you're going to get. And I see different responses. I follow a lot of people in different sectors, not just dog training. I follow a little bit of everything, right? Whether it be guns, whether it be art, music, a lot of dog work, a lot of dog training, a lot of dog accounts that I follow, and a lot of business also. I follow a lot of business accounts as well. And inevitably, it doesn't matter what sector, what industry you're in, what your niche is, it doesn't matter. Any sort of content that you are going to post, that you're going to put out into the world, will be met with scrutiny by some people. Somebody is not going to like what you have to say. Somebody's not going to like what you have to post. Whatever your opinions are, there's going to be a group of people that are going to resonate with your message, that are going to like what you put out, and there are going to be people that are not going to. And out of those people that are not going to like your content, you're going to have some that are going to keep scrolling, and you're going to have some that are going to voice their opinion, which is not a big deal. We live in a free country. I would say most of the world is pretty free for the most part. You get what I'm getting at. You understand what I'm saying. You see where I'm going with this. You are going to have people that don't like your content that are going to tell you, hey, I don't like your content. I don't like your opinion. And by the way, there is nothing wrong with that. Okay, they have the freedom to do that. It's kind of what you sign up for when you have a social media account and you put some content. So it's to be expected. But then you have some people that they go a little bit above and beyond. They don't just tell you they disagree with you. They are just nasty. They're not just nasty in a horrible open way, but sometimes they're nasty in a very subtle way. And the reason I'm making this episode, not because of me. Look, I'm pretty immune to it by now. I've had people try to cancel me. I've had people just be like not even basically, but just straight up threaten me with violence on comments, on posts that I made that were not even horribly controversial. But I've had people go to extremes, implying like bodily injury and harm towards me, and even some of my family members. That's not an exaggeration. So you get some people that are openly just horrible because they feel emboldened to do this from the comfort of their keypad. And then you have people that are just nasty, but they're very subtle, very covert about how horrible they are. And so what they'll do is you have the nasty people, and then you have the people that offer you, their assistance. They offer you their advice, but they offer you that advice with a backhand. So they supposedly, they pat you on the shoulder with one hand, and with the other hand, they're slapping you on the face. So it's a very subtle way of basically telling you, look, you have no idea what you're talking about, so I'm going to tell you how things work. And you can pick up that undertone. You can feel it. It's kind of obvious sometimes. And why I'm making that episode, again, not because of me. I'm pretty immune to it by now, and I find it even amusing. Not only do I find it amusing, but I'll troll them back. I'll tell you some of the things that I do that keeps it entertaining for me. But I'm talking more because of some of the people I follow. They post their content, and then I see some of the backlash that they get. And I feel bad for them because some of these people are not used to that. They're not used to uh, getting these people be not the nicest to them, whether it be in the open, nasty way or whether it be in the subtle way. And the episode is aimed more at that type of content creator, that type of social media person, the dog trainer or the dog owner, right? You see sometimes with dog owners, they'll post something, they'll post some of their clips. They're happy, they're excited that they made a little bit of progress and they'll post it. And in general, yes, they're going to get support. And it is to be expected to get some feedback. Okay, so if a dog owner posts content or a dog trainer that is posting content, yes, you're going to get people that are going to agree. You're going to also get people that are going to give feedback in a constructive way. And then you're also going to get people that are going to give their backhanded feedback. Their, look, I'm going to just subtly tear you a new one, but it's going to come in the form of feedback. So that way I'm not openly an asshole. Even though I'm being an asshole, I'm not going to be openly an asshole. So I'm going to, in a very subtle, covert way, I'm going to just be horrible, but it's just going to come in the form of feedback. So when you get those, they're not fooling anybody, right? They're not fooling anybody. So the person then feels bad. And then it even comes to the point where the person, you'll see it. You'll see that they'll even stop posting. You can see it affects them. You can see that there's a bit of a routine, of a cadence as to how often they're posting, and then they'll like stop posting. Now that could be a number of reasons. Maybe I'm just forming a narrative around why there's a little bit of a break, but it could be, I feel like maybe that backhanded feedback, that criticism was a little bit too harsh, and it makes sense. If I'm a more sensitive person, which there is nothing wrong with, but if I were a more sensitive person where these comments affected me and I'm excited about posting some of the work that I'm putting on my dog, or I'm excited about the work that I'm doing with one of my dogs, one of my client dogs even, and then somebody starts giving me their feedback, but it's like one of those backhanded feedbacks, or somebody just openly just tells me that I'm doing it all wrong. If I'm a sensitive person, that will affect me. That will make me not want to post. You're basically punishing this behavior. You're making it less likely. You're providing a consequence that makes it less likely for the posting to occur again in the future. So this is where sometimes I get a little bit upset for other people, not me. I'll give you some examples as to some of the stuff that I've gotten and some of the ways that I deal with it. And I'll give you my recommendation as to how you should. But I wanted to basically reach out through this medium, through the podcast, through this episode. I wanted to reach out to you. And if you're the one posting the content and you have received some of this feedback that I'm talking about, you received some of this harsh criticism to some of the work you're putting, I want to tell you, don't let it get to you, okay? It should not matter. And I know it's easier said than done, but think about this. You are taking the steps. You're actually doing the thing. You're training the dog. You're putting it in front of a video, in front of a camera, and then you're making a video of it. And not only that, but you're posting it for the world to see. It doesn't matter if only 20 people liked it. The fact is, you're putting it out there. That takes courage. It takes courage, and it should be commended. It's something that you're doing knowing that there's an inherent risk that somebody might not like what you're putting out there, and you're still doing it. So that is commendable. You're doing something that a lot of people don't even like doing. So when these people give you this criticism, or they give you their backhanded feedback, right? They give you this They call it constructive criticism, but you can see in the undertones. I'm telling you, you can always tell, right? Where you can see that their criticism or their feedback is basically them telling you you have no idea what you're doing, and I do, and I'm gonna tell you how I know everything and you know nothing. So when you get those, my suggestion is just let it roll off your back. Okay, I know it's hard, but don't let it get to you. And you don't need to prove anything. You do not need to make another video explaining why you did what you did, addressing what the other people said you should address. You don't need to do any of that. Okay, you truly don't owe any further explanation. Look, a training session could last 15 minutes. You're not gonna put a 15-minute training session to appease someone. You're gonna put like if you're posting on TikTok, if you're posting on Instagram, you're very likely just posting like a snippet of your training session. And this is where these keyboard warriors sometimes go, oh, you're not posting the entire session. You're only picking bits and pieces of your training session. So I'm not impressed by that. I see people comment on other people's videos like that. They're like, oh, you're not posting the entire session. You got to post the entire session. And I'm thinking, motherfucker, do you post anything? You don't post shit. So you shouldn't even be talking. Okay. And second of all, are you really expecting somebody to post a 10 to 15-minute session, whatever they're working on? You want them to post an entire 10-minute session? Look, I'll be frank with you. I do a lot of training sessions. I'm a dog trainer. I have dogs that I compete with, and I have client dogs that I train. So I do a lot of training sessions, and I don't always have my tripod on me. I'm not always set up for a video. And when I do set up for a video, some of my training sessions, they can last anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes. And you know what? My internet is not the fastest where I am. So I do condense a lot of my videos to, I'll condense a 10-minute session into like a 60 or 90-second clip. And yes, there is some editing because I'm not going to post the dead air time where I'm just petting the dog and feeding it and just having to walk around. I'm going to post the main portions of the training session. So if the content creator, if you listening are one of these people, you don't have to prove anything. Okay, I'm giving you permission right now. You don't have to prove to anyone. So post whatever you want, however you want, and as long as you're not being unfair, right? If you're being unfair to the dog, and maybe it's due to your ignorance, maybe your inexperience shows through, and somebody gives you feedback, criticism that doesn't feel like a backhanded criticism, then I'd say, take the criticism. Say thank you, take it, don't take it too harsh, and just keep moving forward and keep posting. But if the criticism you're getting is harsh, just keep posting. Realize that in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. In the grand scheme of things, you are a speck of dust in the universe. Okay? Living in another speck of dust in the universe, which is located in a galaxy, which in a solar system, which is a speck of dust in a galaxy, which is another speck of dust in the universe. So it doesn't really matter, right? We're on this earth in this physical body for a short period of time. It feels like a long time, but really, in the grand scheme of things, compared to eternity, you're only in this one physical body for less than 100 years a lot of times. Why why do you get upset about one person who probably wouldn't even have the courage to tell you that in person? Why do you care about what that person puts through their phone on your content, which took a lot of courage to post? You shouldn't. So always look at it that way. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. So you don't need to prove anything to these people. Just keep posting. You already have more courage than half of these people that are posting hateful comments. The other thing too that I do, so I'll tell you a little bit about how I deal with this, what I do with it. Now, in the beginning of my social media journey, so to speak, I started posting probably like 10 years ago. I started going on YouTube and started posting content. And I would undoubtedly so get some feedback. I'd get some constructive criticism, and I'd get some backhanded, very backhanded, just downright mean comments. And yes, towards the beginning, I remember thinking, I don't understand why are these people doing that? But I mean, I just kept rolling through. It didn't bother me to the extent that it made me not want to post anymore. I just asked myself, that's very interesting that these people are doing that, but I'm just going to keep posting. And so over the years of posting content, whether it's an episode on a specific topic, or whether it's a clip on something, or whether it's a training session, it doesn't matter. Every once in a while, I mean, some of these comments that I've gotten have been horrible. Like people just being horrible human beings, where they would just come on my content, and even rally their friends over, even call their friends so that they would so that they would bully me through the comments and just go back and forth, and just fill my video comment section with the 2 or 3 of them just attacking me, right? I literally had that. I've had other people just give these nasty comments, but I've had also people that have gone to the extent of grabbing my videos and doing like a voiceover of every video I've made. Like these people definitely have a lot of time in their hands. Must be very, very unhappy individuals to just really scrutinize a 30-second video where you're reading and overreading micro expressions on a dog that you don't even know, that they don't even know. They've never even seen the dog, but they're overreading and overemphasizing micro expressions on a clip that I would do, where they'd be like, oh, look, did you see the tongue sticking out? That means that dog is really, really stressed. I mean, go to that extent, doing lives, okay, like Facebook lives, or like TikTok, Instagram lives, where they're just trying to tell me a new one. Now, how do I deal with that? Is I don't pay attention. I don't look at their lives. I'm not watching every single video that they're making of me. I'm not reading every single comment. I'm not doing that. That's the best way to deal with it. Is the more you have to realize that the more you focus on these things, the worse it makes you feel. And the worse you feel, the more it affects your day. And if it affects your day, it has the potential to affect your week, which has the potential to affect several weeks, which has the potential to affect your mood, which has the potential to affect your habits, which has the potential to affect your attitude and your personality, which has the potential to affect your life. So for that reason, you focus on other things. Like when I see these comments and when I see some of these just hateful, horrible actions, like taking, just scrutinizing my work, or rallying their friends to essentially with the goal of bullying me, right? And I imagine their goal, like I've thought about this. I'm thinking, I bet you what their goal is to bully me so bad that I just shut down every account. That's the only possible explanation as to what their goals are, as to why they do what they do. That's the only thing I can think of, because I can imagine from their perspective, they're not doing it for fun. Maybe they are in some very twisted way. But I'm thinking, like, is there a goal to basically, like, I can only picture them thinking, if we bully this trainer or this person bad enough, they'll just close shop. They'll just stop posting. They'll just shut their channel down and just not touch a dog ever again, because they'll be so ashamed about what they're doing that that they won't dare do this again. That's the only thing I can think of, which of course is ridiculous. And maybe some people would do that, and maybe there've been great trainers that have been affected by that. There've maybe been great dog owners that have been affected by that. But here is how I deal with that. Okay, here's what I do. I'll open a comment, and this is how I started, right? Because it would affect me at first, not a lot, but it would bother me. And then I started going, okay, I need to make it so that these comments do the opposite of what they're intended to do. Meaning, the negative comment probably has the intended effect of making me sad, making me upset. So how do I make that comment do the opposite of that, which is make me happy? Well, how could I make that make me happy? Is I make it funny. So that's how that was the best way that I found to deal with it. If somebody gives me this criticism that is just horrendous, I could either A, read it and get really upset by it, or I could find the humor in it. And then it makes me laugh, and it actually brightens my day a little. So I could look at it and go, that is very interesting that this person has put so much thought into it. And I can only imagine, like, they're probably bright red, and they probably commented on it, and they probably edited a couple of times, and then they really thought about it, and they push send, and their aim is probably to ruin my day or to make me feel bad about myself. And that to me is amusing. A person who's never met me has gone to the troubles, has gone to that extent to try to affect my mood. That is amusing. And then what I'll additionally do is I'll even screenshot it. Okay, this adds to the funny effect to me. I'll screenshot it, and then I'll post it. And I notice that when I screenshot it and post it, I notice other people also see the humor in it. Okay, so then that adds to the humor. It adds to the amusement of the event. So now I'm looking at that and I'm going, this is kind of funny. And then I'll just even go back and forth. It's almost like I'll bait them a little bit more. I've started doing that, and I found it even more amusing. This is a way that I could turn it. Basically, what I did is I found a way to take it and just convert it, turn it into something that makes me laugh, that kind of brightens my day a little bit, which puts a smile on my face, which, it makes me laugh. It amuses me. So what I'll even do is sometimes I'll even bait them back. I'll go, why do you ask that? And of course and obviously I don't care why they're asking that. I just literally just want to bait them. I'm like, what would you say? Why do you ask that? And then they'll of course reply with their really emotionally charged tantrum. And then I'll ask more. why do you say that? And of course, again, I don't care. But it's just amusing. And I'm not putting a lot of effort. Sometimes they'll put like a long paragraph. I'm just reading the first couple of lines and then like kind of quickly scan. And that's pretty much it. And again, I don't I don't spend like hours reading all of this. This is why it's just kind of a funny thing that makes this process a little bit amusing to me. But I'm not focusing on it. I'm not dwelling on it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not wondering what they're thinking, what their next comment is going to be, because I've come to the point where I really do not care. And my suggestion to you is that you aim at taking that approach. Now, if that's very difficult to do, which I completely understand, okay, I have a sense of humor, so I like to brighten everything up. Or if I see something, I like to see the good in everything. That's just my personality. That's how I am. I like to look at the positive in things. So when I see a mean comment, I immediately try to make it funny in my head. It's not that I try, I just automatically see the funny in the event. And so if that's difficult to, if that's not how you're wired, if that's not how you think, it's not a big deal. Then the next best thing is just to ignore it. All right, the next best thing is don't even read it. Just realize that people are going to do that and just leave it alone. Just scroll past it. You don't even need to reply. Just move along. Hey, real quick, if you're liking this video so far, if you're getting any value out of this, if you think somebody else who creates content could find this information very useful because they deal with haters themselves, do them a favor and do me a favor as well in the process. Share it with them because it's going to help them out. It's going to give them some really good skills. The other approach that you can take is you can do what some people do, which is they just block. And I know people that do that. They get some negative feedback and they're like, I basically go, I'm not dealing with this. They just block the person. And if that's the way that works for them and it doesn't ruin their day, which doesn't ruin their week, doesn't ruin their mood, doesn't ruin their habits, doesn't affect their personality, and doesn't ruin their lives because of these comments that happen. And if that's the way to deal with it is by blocking them, look, I'm all 100% for it. Then go ahead and block them. You have to protect your sanity. You have to protect your well-being, and you have to do it whichever way works for you. Okay, to me, I make it funny. I make it make me laugh. To somebody else, the best strategy will just be to ignore it. And to somebody else, the best strategy would be to block. And everybody has a reason. I've had people tell me, well, just ignore them. Why do you even bother? Well, when the people tell me that, well, just ignore it, I know that that's how they deal with it. And if they just ignore it, it's what works best for them. So I'm not going to tell them you should make it funny because that's not how they deal with it. I make it funny. So to me, that's my course of action. You give me something shitty, I'm gonna make it serve me. It's gonna brighten up my moment. I'm gonna make it a joke right away. It's gonna be funny to me. That will probably not work for everybody. For some people, they'll go, no, I can't do that. It puts too much attention to it, so I don't want to do that. So the best thing for me is to ignore it. And then fine, then ignore it, because for you, that might be the best thing to do. And I've also had people tell me, well, just block them. I've had people tell me that too. They'll, well, just block them. Just don't even deal with it. Just block them. Well, I know that that's how they deal with it. To them, blocking it is the best thing to do. And so you see, there are different ways to do it. You can do whatever works for you. But the one thing you shouldn't do is you shouldn't consume it. You shouldn't take it the way it was meant to be given. You shouldn't take it the way they sent it. You should either block them if that works best for you, or you should ignore them. You don't even pay attention to it. You don't even read it. Or if you're a little bit twisted like me, you turn it into a joke and immediately brightens up your day. Every one of those things is appropriate as long as you resonate with each one of them. Okay, whatever tickles your fancy, do that. And above all, don't let these people ruin your day. Okay, and remember, you don't owe any explanations to anybody.